Good morning and welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Kat and I recently bought this cookbook, Some of My Best Friends Are Cookies by Emelia Jackson. I thought it was so cute with so many amazing looking recipes in it that it would be fun to cook from the first page through to the last page and bring you along for the ride. If you would like your own copy of this cookbook, I will pop a link to Amazon in the description. I got mine from Kmart for about $25. I've also seen it at Dimmicks and at Target. If you're looking for it in Australia, those are all good options. Today we're going to be making the second recipe in this book, which is the only chocolate chip cookie recipe I'm ever going to need. And we're also going to be making the Australian Women's Weekly chocolate chip biscuits from Beautiful Biscuits. My family has been making the Australian Women's Weekly ones since I was a kid, and so I thought it would be fun to compare them. Emelia's dough needs to be refrigerated overnight, so while I get out my ingredients and get an apron on, I will take you back to yesterday so you can see how I made her dough. To start with, we have 280 grams of plain flour, and to that we're adding half a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and half a teaspoon of sea salt flakes. Then we're whisking that all together and setting it aside to move on to the next step. To our KitchenAid mixer, we are adding 150 grams of unsalted butter, as well as 100 grams of caster sugar, 150 grams of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I make my own extract. You can use store-bought extract or vanilla bean paste would be really nice, and 1 egg. Those ingredients are all going to be creamed together until they are nice and fluffy. Now that our mixture is nice and creamy, we are going to add our flour mixture and just combine that on a low speed until it's just combined. It's at this point that I decide to split my dough in half and make half plain chocolate chip biscuits and half milk chocolate hazelnut crunch biscuits. So instead of adding 250 grams of dark chocolate chips, I only add 125 grams. And unfortunately, my recording stopped, so I can't show you my second half of the dough, to which I added 88 grams of milk chocolate chips and 50 grams of roughly chopped toasted hazelnuts. Beautiful Biscuits was published in 1982 or something like that, and has been republished a number of times over the years. I will pop a link to this book from Amazon in the description as well. The chocolate chip cookies has also been published online, so I will pop a link to that recipe, and also I found Emelia's recipe online too, so both of those links will be in the description. So the first thing that we need to do is our butter. I usually double this recipe because I know my family love it, but today we're just going to be making a single batch, and like I did when I made Emelia's dough, I will split the dough in half, do half chocolate chip and half chocolate chip and nut. My family doesn't love nuts in biscuits, but for a direct comparison, it's worth making the effort to do both. So we've got 125 grams of butter, and to that we're going to add half a cup of brown sugar. When you're measuring brown sugar, you need to pack it into your cup so that you get a nice consistent weight. Or if you prefer, and you have a set of scales, you can weigh out your ingredients. The cookbook doesn't have weights, but the recipe that I have linked below does. And half a cup of white sugar. And these are going to get creamed together. Our butter and sugar is creamed together. So to that we're going to add 1 egg. And half a teaspoon of vanilla. You can use vanilla paste, vanilla extract. I make my own vanilla extract. It doesn't really matter which you use. We're going to lightly beat this egg. And then slowly add it to our mix. I've scraped down the sides, given that another quick mix, and now we're going to add our self-raising flour. If you don't have self-raising flour, but you do have plain flour and baking powder, you can make self-raising flour by adding 2 teaspoons of baking powder to every cup of plain flour. Now we need 1 3/4 cups I just used my 1/4 cup measure because my 1 cup measure is in the dishwasher. We also want half a teaspoon of salt. We're going to mix this through until it just comes together. Now, because I want to make 2 different biscuits out of this single batch of dough, I'm going to weigh this dough, chop it in half, and make half batches of each recipe. So I've got half my dough in this bowl and half my dough in this bowl. And we're going to weigh out half the amount of chocolate chips. So I've got about 100 grams, give or take. And we're just going to mix those through. So this is our dark chocolate chip dough. And now we're going to make our milk chocolate and nut dough. So I've got about 65 grams of milk chocolate chips. And about 30 grams of hazelnuts, which I'm going to chop up. And there is our milk chocolate and hazelnut dough all mixed together. Okay, so we've got our 2 batches or 2 half batches of the Women's Weekly dough there, and we've got our 2 half batches of Emelia's chocolate chip cookies out of the fridge. The cookies are both cooked at 180 degrees. The difference is just the amount of time that they will take to cook. So I'm going to preheat my oven while I scoop out the Women's Weekly cookies into teaspoon-sized cookies and Emelia's cookies into golf ball-sized cookies. I did forget to say that the Women's Weekly cookies cook for 10 minutes and Emelia's cookies cook for 15. And here are Emelia's fresh out of the oven, nice and golden and looking really delicious. Well, our biscuits are all out of the oven and Emelia's have cooled on the tray for 15 minutes before being transferred onto a cooling rack. And just so that you can see the size difference between the two, that's the size difference. Both nice and golden brown, looking really nice. I have a nice cup of coffee. And I'm going to do a taste test. So this is Emelia's with the nuts. I'm choosing the nut ones only because that tends to be my family's least favourite and I quite like it. That is really nice. The sprinkle of sea salt that she gets you to put on just before they go in the oven gives it a really nice pop of saltiness. That is an absolutely delicious chocolate chip biscuit. Now this one is the one with nuts by Women's Weekly. That's really nice too, but I think of the two I prefer Emelia's. I really like that salty, crisp texture that you get on her cookie. I am going to let these cool completely, and then when my kids get home from school, I'll get them to do a blind taste test and we'll see what they think. I'll see you later. Hi and welcome back to my kitchen. I've got my kids and my nephew here and they are going to be our taste testers today. So here you go guys, one big and one small each.
Big one. Oh, I didn't get the smallest one.
That's okay. All right, now I want you all to try the small one first.
It's very fluffy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
What do you think?
Delicious.
Delicious? All right, so you've each had a bite of the small one. Now have a bite of the big one and see what you think.
I like this one.
You like that one?
I like both.
You like them
I
both?
love both.
You love them both.
They're really good.
Which one, if you had to pick, which one is your favorite? The big one?
Are they the same size?
The larger one is softer.
Yeah.
This one I think I would choose the smaller one.
The smaller
I
one?
think I'll probably choose. I can't think.
You like them both.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very
Coffee.
close. All right, well, it's very, very close. We had, sorry, what was your vote? The big one?
Mhm.
The big one. Okay, so 2 votes for Amelia's and 1 vote for Women's Weekly. So that's really good. Good result. I'm sure those will all be enjoyed in school lunch boxes over the next couple of weeks. Thanks for being here. If you would like to subscribe, I would love that. That way you can follow along as we make the rest of the recipes in this cookbook. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and I will pop another video here that you can enjoy between now and my next upload. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.